All right, y'all. Part 4 on the world stage and the projection of our reality, Jesus' return, Hollywood, and those things. All right, to wrap it up. So Jesus is returning in all men. We have the internet breaking open. We have where we can do all things. We bring our lives on here. It's the showman, the shaman, and those types of things. So this is one aspect of God or Jesus coming through all men and projecting a new heaven and an earth. Okay, because what used to be private is not private anymore. What used to be this, that, and the other is not this, that, and the other. And as the window of heaven is opening up, as the bell worship is breaking down, the kids are being exposed to the heaven and earth with no rules, boundaries, or limitations that we were done before. That light is changing and adjusting man for that new age, for the new heaven and earth. And that's why you have the Alpha generation being born now for that new generation of Jesus kids. So all these kids that are the Alpha generation got Jesus living right inside of them. Okay? So these are amazing times. These kids have a light inside of them of natural, God-given intelligence, of being able to, whatever, and we need to recognize these things, and the Spirit of Jesus comes through these children, and we're seeing the sign of His coming, and as a sign of His coming, these times connect us to ages of, or these ages of man, but these decades upon us, to where we can look back at this time and see this time, and it adds up. And if you take the Matthew 24, Mark 13, Luke 21, that talks about the day of the Lord, and then the Revelation of John is talking about that day of the Lord that he lived through, that Jesus told him about after 70 AD, and Nero and such. That was that Antichrist figure back then. He wrote about it, and we're going to have that Antichrist figure today for that revised Roman Empire, okay? So as these times are coming up, Planet Hollywood, this Jesus character, he came in, brought a new time. He died for what he was bringing in, that showman. And then from then, we see it going on. So maybe instead of 2,000 years from Jesus, it's only been 1,000 years. And that's where we see that 1,000 years of Satan rising up and that bell worship. And as we get to that final bell worship time, we see that new heaven and earth being created and Jesus coming in and getting rid of the bell worship, to where they're taken down to their little horn and then they're brought back in 1,000 years. Okay, so we can see these things, and that would be we're the us of the United States, and that's the hour of the America that they go down. All right, because either way, so we can see. All right, so Matthew 24, or Mark and Luke 24, 13, 21, that's the 58. That's the 85 backwards for the 20, and then you take 58 on the 58 years dead, that would be 2035. And we've already talked about 2035 for the end of the 2015 cycle. And then you have the 85 or 58 on the flip side for Biden at 85. At one time, and then when he's 83 next year. So those 3 times, or those 3 years, connect a point in time, which already connects us from the Revelation 22 to the alphabet 26. All right. So either way, guys, just a little coincidence, I guess. So as Jesus is returning within all of us, that light is given to the elect of the body, and it's gathered through the body. Some of the eyes and ears, some of the head, some of the hands, some of the feet, some of the organs. It doesn't matter, all right? But the point is, the body's being gathered up for that new heaven and earth, for that new bridegroom to come and set a new phase, all right? So the tent and such, it can kind of tell us about things, because this tent that where we can see projections, they're using mirrors and such. everybody could have at one point maybe had tents on a hill gathered around the amphitheater or whatever, and everybody's like has a tent for a home theater, right? And that's like that's kind of the original living room, is that tent, and you all go out to watch a theater show or whatever, right? And that would be like the original TV, or maybe it's done through the water and scry or however, right? Because this is all just, we're all living with electricity, and we are electricity, and it's just a matter of manipulating it, and it's all magnetism, so it's just a matter of push and pull and whatever, to where we can open up light and go through it, and like where there'd be really portals and shit like that. But this is all coming in the future, but it's all being done in a futuristic way, because the new heaven is the old heaven, just brought to us in a technological way, because God is coming through us and meeting us through us. And this is where Jesus is in us, and the Christ is there gathering all men. The Son of Man is there. They're going to come together and to create that God man. And we're going to go into the next age of man, and we're going to go boom, 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 over and over. Just like it says in Genesis 1, just like it says in Revelation at the end, 20, 21, 22. All right, all this stuff is coming together. Reset over and over. God's always been, God's always earth, God, man, whatever. We've always been here. Okay? So as we've always been here, there's nothing new under the sun. What they've had old TVs before, they've had old projectors before, they've had old this, that, and the other before. Moses had the tablet. We got a tablet. All right? So, the Roman Empire, the revised Roman Empire, what we see today, that carnal nation, the return of that incarnation of Christ and all these things, right? So they had cars, we got cars. It's very simple, folks. Okay? They teach us that you come from cavemen, so you think you're getting smarter as they make you dumber. All right? That's why most kids at a certain age, they test at genius level, and then they are made into idiots by the time they get to be 80. All right? Joseph, that Joe is before you, that CPH is before you as well, that CC Rider, and that PH is that pH of the water, that planet Hollywood, and that ties back to the 6 and 7. But that ties into the hydro versus soil. At a hydro level, the most high, you can grow things at more at an acidic level. And this would be an antichrist to the people who are in the soil, because they have the soul and they need their water higher because they aren't the high. So this is where that little flip on things come. All right. And then they teach Christ as being this one man, whatever, when Jesus said, we're all these things. And so that's where you get the hydro versus the soil. That's where you get the earth versus Eden. All right. Because that's the hydro. You're not worrying about no garden or whatever. As a gardener in the garden, you're worrying about your soil pH and shit. All right. And you're worrying about the shit you put on your plants and whatever else. So, that's the alkalinic. It's a higher alkalinic. And that's tied to the Christmas, the Christmas worship, and all those other things. And then Christmas is part of the Satan worship. That's the Santa Satan. That's part of, if you don't do good, you get a lump of coal. That lump of coal is so you can start your fire in hell to burn next to. Okay? And then Halloween is the birth of Jesus, where you can do all things. You can be whatever you want to be. You got to be a furry so you can sneak up on the animals and eat them, because you were given dominion over the animals and you are in earth and you have to function and live. All right? You can eat this, that, or the other, or you can eat the animals. In the garden, you got to eat the fucking leaves and whatever else. All right? And the serpent is telling the woman, hey, there's something ain't right here. We are naked, and we are hungry, and we are cold and afraid. Either way, but they're being brought they're being taught that it's hell or whatever. They're being taught that it's heaven, and as it's coming on, it's heaven. They're lifting up the law and going back into hell and all these other things. But many stacks on reality. So Jesus was that showman, the Hollywood, the people's social media channels, people putting their lives on OnlyFans, or whether it be clothed or not clothed or whatever, right? That's all part of the future heaven, and that's all part of where Jesus is within us, and we are that showman. We are telling people how we live our lives. We're showing people how we live our lives. We're doing this, that, and the other, right? And this has been breaking open in different ways since the YouTube is started. And the YouTube is what? The U is what? The magnet, right? That's me and you. The 21. That pi. That 20. That pi. And then we are winners. With the chicken dinners. So, the man behind the curtain, Jesus, that sun, that one behind the sun, controlling the sun, came down as into one. All right. When the whole world was full of darkness, he came down to give them some light. And as he gave them light, he brought in something new. And as he brought in something new, Paul saw it. He was trying to control it and control these people inward so they wouldn't see it. And this is where you have Planet Hollywood coming on and showing you something that isn't, because it's a test of men. And it's a test to see how stupid we are and all these other things, all right? So that's why you got the church believing in demons. That's why you got, they just discounting you or whatever. It's demons, drugs, blah, 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 all right? They don't, man, it's just so much, dude. Either way, the horse has to be broken to drink the water. Like I said before, but that amphitheater, that ties to that amp for that speaker that's being blown. And that's for the ears. Here, the 2020 vision was given. Hey, I see this and this and this. Now I hear this and this and this. I'm going to do whatever my spirit tells me to do at that point, all right? Because each person is different. Each person is in a different area of the world. Each person is in a different area of Babylon. All I can say is all words written must be fulfilled in the coming days. And as these things come, we are seeing the spiritual reverse flip on the things that I've told you. So that means they are coming to a carnal representation. Okay. So this is where it's giving the eyes and ears to gather up and to get the hell out if it's needed, because it's going from where the vision was given and it's been playing out and mirrors and reflectors, and it's getting harder and harder on coming into the world. And as it gets harder and harder coming into the world, that's where the reverse and flips come in, where it's really a fucking bomb. Okay? Or it's really an Uzi on the beach or whatever's going on. So hopefully this helps you understand a little bit of the new heaven and earth opening up. Jesus says we can do all things. Satan says you cannot. Jesus is of the living. Jesus is of the free. Satan is of the death. Satan is of the bond. Those who seek salvation are of the dead, are of the synagogue of Satan. Judea, America, the last Judea nation, is the last nation that seeks salvation. They are the last nation of Satan. This is why America gets the big blunt force of that Most High. Okay? Because they are the home and heart of Satan worship. It's very simple to understand, y'all.